ones, long time no see. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Anita, for those of you that do not know. Today we are going to be talking about the pros and cons of a small wedding. As I shared in my past clip, I got married. I've been married for like a month and a few weeks. I had a small wedding. But having a small wedding, it has the pros and cons, and that is what I'm going to be sharing with you today. But even if a wedding is not small, one of the most stressing things while planning a wedding is completing the guest list. Are you going to invite people that you do not know or you've never met because they're people that your parents want to come? Or are you going to invite people you talk to on a daily? Are you going to invite your hairdresser or your gym instructor? These are some of the questions you encounter while planning a wedding. Now, let's go to what I encountered on planning my own wedding. I'm going to start with the downside of having a small wedding so that I get that out of the way. There are two negative things I encountered while planning a very small wedding. On average, a Ugandan wedding is about 500 people. Our kind of weddings, like where I come from, it's 500, 800, 1,000 people that are invited for a wedding. Here I was planning a wedding of 50 people. You are bound to annoy so many people, and your own heart is going to be broken because I have so many relatives. My spouse has so many relatives, but we wanted a small wedding. When you're planning a small wedding, be ready to get people annoyed. People are not going to be happy, and you yourself, you are not going to invite everyone you love. I mean, we love so many people and we have so many relatives. So keep that in mind when you're planning a small wedding. That is the downside of it. The second downside of planning a small wedding is when people do not show up, you notice it. When you have guests that are, let's say 800 or 1,000, and about 10 or 20 do not show up, you're not going to notice it. But when you have a wedding of 50 people and 3 do not show up, you are going to notice because their places are going to be staring right into your face. You're going to notice it and it's going to break your heart. So be ready for that when you are planning a small wedding. Now let's go to the lighter note, the advantages of having a small wedding, because there are many compared to the disadvantages. The number one advantage of planning a small wedding is that it's definitely cheap. I had 50 guests. You can't compare my budget to someone who has a wedding of 500 people or 800 people. So it was very cheap to have a wedding of 50 people. For example, let's say you want to give out wedding favors on your wedding. It's cheaper to give them to 50 people than to give them to 1,500 people. The second advantage of having a small wedding is it's intimate. Everywhere you turn, it's someone you love, it's someone you know. When you have a wedding of 800 people, you don't even know half of them. Other people are other people's plus ones that you've never met that you don't even know. So a big wedding is not as intimate as a small one. Another advantage is it's easy to plan a small wedding. I'll give you an example. When I was choosing my wedding photographer, I told them I only have 50 people. So that means when you have 50 people, your wedding photographer doesn't need to come with 5 extra people to cover 1,000 guests, to cover 800 people. He'll only probably send 2 or 3. And that is cheaper. When you have few people that are going to come, let's say to take photographs or do the video, compared to if you have so many, that is going to reduce on your budget. So it's so easy to plan. Attention to detail. If you want to have very good detail, if you want to have the most attention to your details, I think it's best to have a small wedding because it's easier and it's smaller. The venue is smaller to manage and be able to look at all the tiny details. That is one of the things I thought of having a small wedding. Another reason is I wanted fine dining. When I got to having a small wedding, I saw that I could have fine dining, and my guests wouldn't have to queue up for their dinner. So if you do not want your guests to queue up for either dinner or lunch, do fine dining, have a 3-course meal. This is something that is doable when you have very few guests, but if you have 1,000 guests, I do not know how you're going to manage to have a 3-course meal with 800 or 1,000 guests. To sum all this up, I learned a few things planning a small wedding. For starters, I didn't know that a small wedding was called a boutique wedding. This is something I learned from my Master of Ceremonies. Second, people are going to be so offended and hurt that you did not invite them for your wedding. There are people that have not even communicated or talked to me even 1 month down the road. So you have to keep that in mind. That is something I learned. The third thing is the wedding day goes on so fast. So it's always good to enjoy. I mean, that time is like running so fast. So enjoy your day if it's your day. I had a small wedding. It was beautiful. It was intimate, and I thank God. It was like 80% the wedding of my dreams. By the way, another thing I learned is that not everything is going to go as planned. Not everything will be like on point like the way you planned it. But I thank God it was 80% what I had planned. So good luck as you plan your small or big wedding, since I've given you the pros and cons. Until next time, take care of yourself and yours. Bye-bye.